Okay, thank you for the opportunity given to us to present our work at this conference. My name is Puturi Estimasdiantini from the Faculty of Economics Universitas Pendidikan Indonesia, and I will present the result of our research entitled Ethics of Text Education Profession in the Perspective of Trikaya Parisuda, an Experimental Approach. We start with an introduction. Education is an important thing in the life of every individual. Quality education is one of the things that can improve the quality of human resources. In practice, education is not only expected to educate hard-skilled individuals, but also to educate soft-skilled individuals. One of the human characteristics in education that must be formed is ethics. Text education is not only form of technical knowledge and only creates individuals capable of calculating texts in accordance with the provision of the law, but also has a complete personality aspects which should be colored by ethics which are expected to emerge from the educational process taken. Ethics has a great influence on text science. So far, text problems in Indonesia are inseparable from the taxpayer ethics, even though tax is the highest source of income in the state's budget or APBN each year. Taxpayer compliance is at the center of the taxation system in Indonesia because the tax system used in Indonesia is a system self-assessment. In Indonesia, the self-assessment system itself has been implemented for 3 decades. However, taxpayer compliance has not shown satisfactory result. The tax ratio in Indonesia from 2015 to 2017 has always decreased. This seems to be a classic problem that always recurs in the following years. There are several factors that affect the level of taxpayer compliance in paying taxes, including internal factors that exist in each other and also external factors that come from outside of themselves. Ethical factor is one of the internal factors that can affect tax compliance. Regarding ethics, one of the well-known ethical concepts applied in Balinese life is the Trikaya Parisuda concept. Trikaya Parisuda are 3 behavior or action that must be purified, including thinking, saying, doing good. The understanding and application of the Trikaya Parisuda concept will be able to increase the level of individual obedience and awareness of their religious teaching or morality, which in turn will be able to make the individual a person who has a good character in accordance with religious teaching, both as a person and as a good citizen. Several studies relate to the use of the Trikaya Parisuda-based learning model state that there were differences in learning outcomes between students who were taught using the Trikaya Parisuda-based learning model and those who didn't use the Trikaya Parisuda learning model. The application of the Trikaya Parisuda value through purification of thought, words, and action is expected to encourage taxpayer compliance in paying taxes and be able to suppress opportunistic action to avoid tax obligation. Literature review. There are compliance theory. According to the Dictionary of Indonesian Language, compliance comes from the word obedient. Submissive means like the command. Obedience to the orders or rules and discipline. Theory of plain behavior. One popular theory that explains behavior is the theory of plain behavior. There are 3 components described by the theory of plain behavior that can be influenced the emergence of an intention, which then contributes to the formation of individual behavior. 3 components are attitudes, subjective norms, and perceived behavior control. And then ethics. Ethics come from the Greek or ethos, which means custom, habits, character, feelings, attitudes, ways of thinking. Trikaya Parisuda. In the book of Salasamasyaya, it is explained that the Trikaya Parisuda consists of Manacika Parisuda means good or holy mind, Wacika Parisuda means good or holy words, Kayika Parisuda means good or holy action. Based on the explanation of the theoretical studies and the result of previous research, the following research hypothesis can be formulated. No hypothesis, there is no different in the level of compliance of the taxpayer who take taxation education based on the Trikaya Parisuddha and taxpayer who do not take taxation education based on Trikaya Parisuddha. First hypothesis, there are differences in the level of compliance taxpayer who take taxation education based on Trikaya Parisuddha and taxpayer who don't take taxation education based on Trikaya Parisuddha. Research design. The quantitative research design using an experimental approach will be carried out with a design between subjects that is comparing two groups. Population of the study is all students of the Faculty of Economics, Universitas Pendidikan Ganesha Accounting undergraduate course. The sample in the study was selected based on the non-probability method with purposive sampling technique. The group is Group 1 is a group of students who are given tax education based on Trikaya Parisuddha or experimental class. Group 2 is a group of students who are not given tax education based on Trikaya Parisuddha or control class. The research hypothesis was tested by using the independent sample t-test because it used two groups of data. The hypothesis testing in this study can use non-parametric statistics, namely using the test man with NIU. If the significance value greater than 0.75, then null hypothesis is accepted. If the significance value smaller than 0.05, then null hypothesis is rejected. Result and discussion. Based on the result of the statistical test Kolmogorov-Smirnov, it can be seen that the data distribution is not normal. It's indicated by a significance level smaller than 0.05, namely 0.000, so that for hypothesis testing, it cannot be continued using the parametric test, namely the independent sample t-test. Therefore, hypothesis testing will be continued using non-parametric tests, namely the test man with NIU. Based on the result of the analysis, it can be seen that the significance value of 0.048 is smaller than 0.05 because the significance value is less than 0.05. It means that there is difference in compliance between the group of participants in the experimental class, namely prospective taxpayer who take taxation education based on the Trikaya Parisuddha and groups of participation in the control class, namely prospective taxpayer who take taxation education without basis Trikaya Parisuddha or conventional in reporting the number of sales. It means those null hypothesis is rejected and first hypothesis is accepted. There are differences in the level of compliance of taxpayer who take taxation education based on Trikaya Parisuddha and taxpayer who do not take education based on Trikaya Parisuddha. Education based on the value of Trikaya Parisuddha will improve ethical morals. Research conducted by Artini in 2016 showed that student learning outcome based on Trikaya Parisuddha score were better in the experimental class compared to the control class. It also in line with the result of the study where the experimental group who received tax education with Trikaya Parisuddha values can apply obedient behavior as stated in the case answer given. The result of the study are comparable to research conducted by Yasa et al. In 2019, who found that application of the Trikaya Parisuddha value can encourage taxpayer compliance in paying taxes. Purification in thoughts, words, and deeds in the teaching of Trikaya Parisuddha from honest ethics and moral traits and increases the value of religiosity. And the conclusion, the results saw that there were differences in compliance between the group of participants in the experimental class, namely prospective taxpayer who takes taxation education based on the Trikaya Parisuddha and groups of participants in the control class, namely prospective taxpayer who took taxation education without Trikaya Parisuddha or conventional, basis in the reporting of the number of sales. The results of this study are expected to be used as a guideline for educators regarding the role of ethics in the tax education so as to prevent conditions that are less praiseworthy for taxpayer in the future. This will greatly help increase taxpayer compliance in the fulfilling tax obligation because students are prospective taxpayer in the future. Okay, that's all our presentation. Thank you for your attention and have a nice day.